She sits in the shadow of a king, not as a silent observer, but as the foundation upon which his throne is built. We remember her for her rage and her jealousy, but we forget that she is the only force capable of turning a wild sky into a civilization. Myths and legends. Hera. When the youngest brother forced the stone from the throat of Cronus, it was not only a king who was released. Hera emerged from that divine darkness with a gaze that had already mapped the future. While the other gods celebrated their freedom, Hera looked at the ruins of the world and saw a vacuum that power would eventually fill. She stood beside her brothers in the 10-year slaughter of the Titanomachy, watching as mountains were unmade and the heavens were torn open. She did not fight for the thrill of the strike. She fought for the stability that follows the kill. When the dust of the old world settled, she stepped onto the peak of Olympus, not to serve a master, but to anchor a realm. The union that followed was the first law of the New Age. Ancient accounts speak of a wedding that lasted 3 centuries, a slow cosmic alignment where Hera and the King of Heaven became the twin pillars of existence. In the gardens of the Hesperides, at the very edge of the map, she received the golden apples of immortality, a gift that symbolized the preservation of life through the sacred bond. But the halls of Olympus were soon stained by the king's wandering eye. Hera found herself in a palace of glass, tasked with guarding a contract that was being violated before the ink was dry. She did not retreat. She became the warden of the hearth, realizing that if the marriage of the gods failed, the universe would return to the belly of the Father. The drama of the Queen is written in the lives of those who dared to disrupt the divine line. Nowhere is Hera's resolve more terrifying than in the story of Heracles. She did not simply hate the son of her husband, she hunted him. When he was but an infant in his cradle, Hera sent 2 serpents to choke the life from his chest. When he grew to manhood, she draped a veil of madness over his mind, forcing him to commit an act of such horror that he was driven into the wilderness to seek redemption. For years, she set the labors that would break any other mortal. She summoned the Hydra. She moved the gods of the underworld to block his path. To those watching from the ground, it looked like spite. But on the heights of the mountain, Hera was conducting a brutal audit of the hero's soul. Every monster she sent was a test of his right to exist within the order she protected. There came a day when even the queen decided that her husband's chaotic will had threatened the stability of the throne itself. She moved through the halls of Olympus in silence, whispering to the others until she had organized a coup. While the King of Heaven slept, Hera and the Olympians descended upon him with chains of gold, binding him to his bed. For a brief moment, the lightning was stilled. The queen stood over her prisoner, intending to replace his volatile whims with the cold precision of law. But the rebellion was short-lived. The king was freed, and Hera faced a punishment that echoed across the centuries. He hung her from the sky, her wrists bound in gold and heavy anvils tied to her feet. She swung between the clouds and the earth, a suspended sovereign, forced to contemplate the hierarchy she was sworn to uphold. When she was finally cut down, she never rebelled openly again. She became the master of the long game, winning her wars through whispers and the slow, inevitable movement of fate. Now, we must look beyond the jealousy and the rage. Hera is the personification of the architecture of order. She represents the uncomfortable truth that for any civilization to endure, there must be a framework of rules that even the powerful cannot ignore. She is the boundary between the wild instinct of the gods and the social contracts of men. Without her, there is no marriage, no lineage, and no legacy. Only the chaotic fires of desire. She is the judge who understands that mercy can be a form of weakness. She is the friction that forces the hero to become legendary. She is the reminder that while the king may rule the sky, it is the queen who ensures the world beneath it does not fall apart. Hera sits upon her throne, her eyes wide like the feathers of a peacock, watching 1,000 stories at once. The structure holds, but the foundation is under pressure. Because while she guards the palace, her brother watches the horizon, waiting for the tide to turn. Myths are not records of the past. They are mirrors of the human mind, passed down, reshaped, and remembered, long after the world that created them disappeared.